Did you get me just standing there in the driveway there?
No, but we got you just opening the door and then closing it straight away.
At the start of the Dark Knight, how the Joker's just standing there like doing nothing, and then he gets it. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Wait, when
I was doing that.
It was like when the bank robbery scene?
Yeah, you know how he's just standing there at the start?
Oh yeah.
I was legit doing that.
I'll put a comparison in the video for those invalids who haven't seen The Dark Knight. Alright, what's up everybody? I'm Alex. I'm a photographer, like film business student from Brisbane. I'm not really like trying to get into YouTube or anything, but just filming a video tonight for fun. I got the boys. I got Jeremy behind the camera, Josh, and Ben in the back seat. We're just going to be going into the CBD tonight in Brisbane just to get some cool like night photography done. I just thought it'd be a bit of fun to make into a video. I'm going to be recording my POV on Josh's GoPro. Shout out Josh. So we're going to be parking at Gardens Point QT till we get pretty cheap parking as opposed to just generic citizens. And then we're going to be hitting some places like the pedestrian overpass, which goes over the freeway for some cool long exposure shots. And then we're probably just going to wing it from there because there's a lot of cool spots around Brisbane with some pretty sick lighting, which like makes so much of a difference in night photography.
Love that.
Yeah, it should be a pretty fun night. Should hopefully get some cool lights. I brought some bottles of water to do some reflection shots. So we'll just pour those on the ground because unfortunately the last few days it was raining in Brisbane and like over the weekend and it was like pouring, so that would have been sweet for a night photo shoot. Like on Saturday night, like I was driving across the Story Bridge and Brisbane seriously looked like Gotham City because of the rain, just like all the fog and stuff. So that would have been sick. But so we're just gonna artificially create some reflections, which like makes for a really cool shot, having reflections and then cool lighting. We're almost on the freeway. And when we get to Gardens Point, we'll update you on what we're gonna do. Alright, so we're at the Gardens Point car park. We can just probably park here actually. Just get the best parking right next to the elevator. Alright, let's go boys. We're just gonna get set up, get the GoPro chest mount on, and see you in a minute. Alright, we're at QT Gardens Point. Holy shit, bro, I got 20,000 ISO right now.
Which way are we going, Alex?
Well, we'll go that way because that's the exit.
Viewers appreciate the various
camera related
towards
yeah. Oh, we'll go that because that's the exit to Gardens Point. Someone, wait, who wants to be in the first photo? All right, stand like right here. It's just for the lights. I can always edit out the QT. See that? That actually goes hard. Go dead center. Go dead center of the corridor. All right. I'm gonna get closer. I'm gonna get dead center on this line. All right. See that? That's fucking sick. I like how you're underexposed, and you cannot even tell.
My face. I'm trying to work out what a good facial expression is for this stuff.
That was pretty sick. And then I want to get one of like someone like standing under a street lamp. Like street lamps look fucking sick. Yeah, someone get under the street lamp. What's that? I'm trying to get this.
Oh, you moved right as you took.
Little to the left. Left. Left again, Josh. Yeah, that's sweet. Yeah, I'm just checking this one out first. That foreground is actually so good. This like cobblestone, whatever it's called, is like perfect for these photos. That's mint. That's mint.
Did you get all the colours?
Oh, that light was sick. Look at this. Bro, that dude was that dude stopped, saw me taking a photo, and as soon as I put my camera down, he started doing the thing again.
Did he know you were there?
Yeah, he was staring at me. This thing. Huh? Like,
I don't know. I can't remember.
I just want to sit on them. Yeah, I gotta get these people out of the way. These people are actually just, oh, I gotta get more in line. Alright, yeah, that's sweet. Oh, I got one, don't worry. Sick.
That's the stuff.
Yeah. Alright, we're gonna have to hit the manual focus for this one. I don't know if you can see this all too well, but no, it is what it is. Just trying. Alright, get Josh in focus. The lighting is so good here. Now he's focus out a bit. Stay there, stay there, stay there. On these. Trying to get a pan shot of these cars. That is sick. So we're shooting an f2.8 right now on the 70-200. The 70-200, it's a pretty sweet lens. Like at f2.8, there's just like so many possibilities. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna go across this bridge here because hopefully it'll show the overpass of the cars down below on the freeway. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna get the tripod out, the Manfrotto, and we're just gonna get some really cool long exposure shots of the cars. And I reckon that'll look really, really sick. So, probably get a photo of the boys like right now.
Before I noticed you.
Jeremy's pose is hard. She's just like.
I grabbed the chain.
Oh, the chain. I thought you were like coughing. Surely we hit the dragon links. Oh, the dragon links, man. Dude, that downstairs area just like is so sick. We don't advocate gambling unless you win.
Wait, what?
This is perfect. Yeah, Ferris wheel will be sweet. So this is taking a photo that's 15 seconds long.
This is gonna be blurred.
So it should have some really sick light trails from the cars. See, that looks pretty sick. Maybe that's a bit too long.
Yeah.
But that's still, this is a 4-second photo.
They're all the little light.
It would come everywhere.
Oh, it's actually kind of good better.
I might get a shorter one, to be honest. I'll go 1 second. I'll go 1 point.
Well, I was saying about like we just drive around like it's our hometown, but like
See if there was more cars there right now. That'd be sweet. Oh, that is so perfect. Look how many cars are just coming at once. 2, 3. Go on. Let's go. Look at those light trails. 3, 4.
I wish that I could.
Right, now we're going to move the shutter speed up a little bit. Going to go half a second. It's 500 ISO. This should look pretty cool. You can get the cars as well. Okay, we'll go again with this group of cars. I know the tripod's uneven, but it's fine. Half a second. Josh, how does this look with the... I showed down to half a second. I think half a second looks pretty cool.
That looks sick.
Can we just get one of that building? Let's get just a long exposure one.
So you see here on the left, there's a fucking
Did you hear that?
Yeah. That'd be sick. Oh, dude, these people are gonna be perfect. That is so overexposed. That's fine though. It's gonna be barely any grain. Dude, Jeremy, that photo looks sick.
Yeah.
That's Jeremy's
Wait,
head.
How? You can see
Bro.
it. You were all the way over. He was all the way over there.
That is
though.
mid. All right, get one more. Josh, I'll tell you when. Like, stick your head in for like a second. Oh, it's still shooting. Oh yeah, perfect.
You can see him.
Yeah. Okay, do it once more. Quickly. Now stop.
Kind of weird.
Stand a bit closer together, Ben. All right. Ben. All right. 3, 2, 1. Stand still. All right. Let's see. Yeah. Stand back. All right. Just so Josh isn't like overshadowed.
Probably I'm perfect.
Don't move. Don't move. One smiling. Turn it. Right, now smile. Alright, let's see. Alright. You guys should have hopefully turned out very focused. In focus. Yeah, you guys. Alright, that looks sweet.
That's a nice smile, man.
That's a nice photo. The quality.
Oh, the quality is unmatched.
To lean back a bit. There we go. Wonder how grainy this is going to be. We're at ISO 5000 right now. Jeez Louise. Might just crank it down.
Jeez Louise.
Alright, someone's coming. Park's there. I'm just going to take a photo of it. That looks pretty cool.
Let's count the people that like.
Get more in the center. Get out of the way, cars. I don't know, I thought it still looked cool. With that lamp pole just straight in the middle. I don't know why. You're joking. I've already filled up one of the SD cards. Try and get like Josh right here. And what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna pour. Ben, can you pour this? I need to adjust it for the shot. All right, so pour a bit like right here.
Want me to fully cover the surface?
Like in front, no, like as like a puddle, like right in the middle.
So further back towards Josh.
Like actually, do like pass it here, like this.
The surface itself is reflective enough, so I don't think this is gonna work.
Believe me. Oh yes, that's perfect. That is perfect. All right, Josh, ready? Oh, that looks sick. Can you get the second bullet? I just need to even out the water a bit. All right, so successful trip into the city. We got a lot of sick photos done. We did a little bit of long exposure on the bridge that goes over to the cultural center, the one the buses go on. I don't know the name.
Yes.
It's pretty cool. Found these really cool lights. So what we did is we got these water bottles and we poured this water out.
No, actually, no, that was next to King George. Yeah.
Yeah. No, it was before, huh?
Yeah, it was like right next to it.
Yeah, so we basically poured these water bottles and we created this really sick reflection and and the lights just looked amazing. So I can't wait to edit those. We got some other really cool photos. We found, was it like sort of near the was it like near Tattersalls Arcade? Was that, or was like it was some arcade like building. It was like really retro, but like near one of the like 50 easy mounts that we saw throughout our journey through the city, and it just had really sick lights. It was just like a tunnel basically, and it was just all lit up and it looked really cool. And we took some photos just on the way back. I only got like a few of the photos, but I don't know if I'll be showing those just yet. What did you guys think of the whole shoot?
I had a great time. Some very good photos were taken. It was a great night.
When I do edit the photos, I will most likely record myself with a face cam and like a screen recording while editing. Depending on how long I take and whether like how good the photos turn out, like depending on that time process of editing or whatnot, that'll like determine whether I put it in the video or not. So if I do a decent job and I do it like under some, like don't take a lot of time to do it, then I'll probably have those in the video. Unfortunately, what we did find out is that we did spend a lot of time actually planning some shots and like getting ready for shots that didn't really need to be recorded on the GoPro. So by the time we got to the really cool like reflection shots that we took, the GoPro died. So that is, I'm probably gonna have to chop that up. But otherwise, like to the extent that it was at, like all the GoPro footage look pretty cool. So you'll be seeing the POV, and I'll show you the edits at the same time as the photos like are taken in the video. If I do put it in the video, then I'll just say, I don't know. We'll cut right away to the editing process. Right, we are back. We're just in my bedroom. So what we're gonna do is we're just gonna go through the editing process for some of these photos. I'm only gonna edit 3 just because I don't want to spend ages just editing. Because if it takes a little while, I don't want to just put that all into one video, etc., etc. And if the photos don't sound great, I don't want to put that in either. But I just chose like the top 3 photos in my opinion that I took, like my favorite ones. So I got one of each of the boys, so Josh, Jeremy, and Ben, who were with me. And we're just going to go through my editing process for those. So we'll get started. So the first photo is this photo of Josh. So this is just taken at Gardens Point. Like pretty straightforward photo. Maybe slightly out of focus, like down here. You know, it's still quite clear, quite in focus. So what we're going to do to start off with is we're just going to adjust the temperature to see how it works each way. I think a cooler sort of temperature like this, not too like blue, but I think like that works good. And then I'm just going to see how tint will work. So obviously if you drag it all the way down, a lot of Lightroom is just messing with the sliders, just to see how you like things. So I reckon probably temperature just add like tint, maybe just add an extra 2. So firstly, we're just gonna look at exposure. So if you hold down Option, you can see where the most exposure is. So obviously the most exposure is in that QT sign right there. So if we add that exposure, this is what the photo is gonna look like. It's just dominated by the QT logo. So we're just gonna turn that down. Probably need to add like a little bit, maybe like 0.45 is good. Still quite vibrant up here. Like they almost look like they've just kind of been like printed on. If you look at the before and after, it's kind of better, but I'll do a bit of masking with that later. So then contrast, same diff. You can just look at like how the contrast affects the photo. So if we take it like that, it takes all the contrast out. I'm probably gonna add just a little bit of contrast, maybe like 15. I think 15 looks good. Highlights, once again, you can just like see. If you hold down Option, you can see where all the highlights are, and they're all dominated by that sign. So we take that Option off. We turn the highlights down a little bit. That way, that fixes up the QT logo. Probably take that down just to -25 if I can get the slider right. Shadows, same thing. You can see where most of the shadows are. I feel like it's nice just to have the light just like dominating the photo just from the QT logo. So if we go maybe -5. Because you can see just like all these lights that are just a little bit out of focus just because of my shaky hands. And I was shooting at f2.8 for this photo, I believe. No, I was shooting at f1.8, so yeah, that's going to be a little bit out of focus, but I still think it looks good regardless. Probably going to crop it actually. I think it's pretty well leveled, but Lightroom has this function, you just click that, it levels it. So that's now even, but we're probably going to just like, we're going to take Josh and just put him like right in the middle, but maybe dominating a bit more of the top 2/3 of the photo. So I reckon that's good. So now we can just look at the whites and the blacks. So obviously the whites are just going to be those lights. So to do that, just going to adjust the lights. So we can turn down the whites a little bit. His jacket and his shoes are quite white, so they're going to be affected a little bit. I reckon maybe we can actually turn it up a little bit. So if we just add 9. Just to see where that gets us. And then blacks, there's a lot of blacks in this photo, so probably only need to add like a little bit of that as well, because then otherwise if you just add that, it's just going to look a bit funky, not in a good way. So like maybe just go +6. Alright, so right now that's the before and that's the after. So we got all the whites and the blacks evened out quite a bit more, and we got the QT sun looking a bit more vibrant, and the photo was also now leveled. Texture. So texture is obviously going to affect how the photo looks, like in terms of the texture, obviously. So if we crank that all the way down to -100, it's just going to look like so smooth. Like if you see Josh's face, it just looks ridiculously smooth. But then if you crank it up to 100, it's just going to look very, very textured. There's a lot of grain when you add that in. So if we just reset that to 0, a lot of that just gets taken out. And it's like a very subtle difference, but it's still insanely noticeable. So texture, probably can just add, probably just 15. I reckon 15 suits, just so that way it's just not like overly texturous. Clarity is like texture, but like cranked up to 100. So if we take that down, everything's just gonna look a bit like blurry, but like sort of dreamy, like a dreamy glow. Like if you look at his shoes, look at the lights, they just looks really dreamy, but we'll get to that later. We'll probably mask that. So probably add like +3 clarity, or actually, yeah, +5. And it gives it a bit more texture, but not like in a bad way. And then dehaze, obviously dehaze is going to affect like the sign majority and all the lights like dominating from the sign. So we can probably take dehaze down a little bit. And then that way it'll give the sign like a little bit more vibrance. So -10. So that's this one on the right is obviously looking a bit more vibrant, but it's still quite bright. So like probably go back and adjust the blacks a little bit. Maybe take the blacks down slightly. And that way it looks a bit more even. Next on the tone curve, we're just gonna go an S curve. So that, like, just like self-explanatory. It's shaped like an S, but it's gotta be very, very subtle. So if we do this, it's just gonna look like just very, very vibrant, but not in a good way. So we gotta make it very, very subtle. So obviously the more near the top you get, like and close to the center like that, the more it's gonna get affected. So we probably just do it like that. A little bit closer to the top, or actually just a little bit more down. I reckon that looks okay, and then you can adjust that for shadows and stuff, so I can probably turn that up a little bit. That kind of gives it like a sort of cool, just like dark layer over the top, and I reckon that looks pretty cool. So it's not a really good habit to do this, but you can always just constantly check the before after and see the changes you've made and how they've affected the photo. I reckon that looks kind of cool right now. I reckon it looks a lot better being more of a cool tone than a more orangey, warm tone. And this is just going to even it out. So that's what it looks like. If we turn off the tone curve, that's the difference that it makes. So it does give it a bit more like oomph. Like it makes it like stand out a bit more, but it is still quite dark. So we can just adjust this a little bit more. Just up the exposure slightly and turn down the highlights, and then probably up the shadows a little bit and the blacks slightly. And then yeah, so that's what we got so far, and that's just before the color grade. Alright, so color grading, there's not really a lot of red in this filter. There's like a little bit of red, like pinky purple here. So if we adjust this, it's just literally just gonna adjust like this area here. So we don't really need to mess with red too much, so we can just leave that. But we might be able to turn down red slightly, but obviously it's affecting his face as well, so we can probably just adjust the luminance slightly so his face stands out a bit more. It will affect that, but it's really not going to make too much of a difference. Same with orange. Orange is going to adjust like his skin tone and also just a bit of red on his jacket. So what we might do is we might turn down the saturation just slightly, but not too much because we don't want to take all that skin tone out. Right. Yellow's probably going to just affect here, but you can always just like, it's literally just affecting there and then slightly on the tree. So we'll turn down the saturation, just so it's just like, if you turn down the saturation, it's a bit more white, and the yellow isn't affecting anywhere on his face or his skin, so we're going to just turn it down. We'll just go -35 for now. The hue, you can obviously adjust that. If we turn it up slightly, actually, it makes it a bit more yellow, and then luminance is just going to affect how bright that looks, so we might just turn that down slightly as well. So we'll just go -7, so it's just like that area there. And then next, green. There's not like a whole lot of green except for these leaves, so we can just mess around with this one to see how it makes the leaves look. So obviously that takes the color out of the leaves, makes them a bit more like ugly, like sort of dead. We can also up the exposure, make them a bit more green. I reckon that looks quite cool. So probably just go add 25. That's just not going to affect too much. Luminance, it's just affecting the leaves in the background and then the leaves along the ground. So I might just up the luminance slightly. Probably just go +10. Alright, aqua, you can change that. It's just mainly affecting the tree because the QT sign is just like a dark blue, so it's not really going to be affected by that. So aqua, we probably want that tree to sort of be like really cool and just white. So if we up that hue and saturation, probably take the saturation down a bit. Luminance probably up a little bit just so the light kind of stands out on the tree as as like illuminating from the sign. So then that's what it looks like. So right now, these are the changes that we made. If you turn off the color grades, it really just affects like just the light there and then the leaves, which looks pretty cool. Blue. So blue is obviously going to affect the QT sign. So you can turn it all the way down. It's just going to look like really teal, like green. I don't know all like the specific little color names, but I reckon I don't want it to be like just like super dark blue, which is like what it like already is. I reckon I'll just turn it up slightly. You can just go until and then stop like where you feel is right. So probably just -15. Saturation, obviously that affects like the light coming off it is on the ground a lot. So probably just turn down the saturation slightly, just so the ground is just more even with the light. And then that's just not going to affect the sign too much, but it will affect the ground. And then luminance, if we turn that up, that's just going to like make it look. If we turn that down, that does make it look quite even. Oh, that's actually interesting. Okay, we might turn that down. Let's go -55. So if we turn this off, you can see already the difference that it's made. So it's because at the start, I don't know why I didn't pick up on this and just say it like straight away, but the QT sign on the left-hand side of the photo, it's much more vibrant than on the other side. So if we turn that back on, it's much more even. The detail on the ground looks quite nice at the moment. But we're still gonna add in some clarity. Lighter purple instead of dark purple. We just turn down the saturation a little bit, and that doesn't really affect Josh's skin tone. There is like a little bit of purple on his face that shows up there if you crank it, but if we turn that down, it is going to affect his face a little bit. So I might just only turn it down -10, and then that's what the photo looks like so far. So in my opinion, I much prefer like cooler lights rather than like a warm. I don't know. Then this is really cool. So you can just like get the colors and sort of drag them along. You don't want to do it too intense, obviously, because that just makes it look really, really crap. But we want to go for like a bit of like a warmer blue here. And I think that looks good. You can obviously like adjust how much it is. So these are the midtones. So you probably turn up the midtones, like the luminance slightly. So we'll go +11. I reckon that looks really nice. Shadows, shadows is gonna, because like this shadow is like 80% shadows, like around the edges and everything. So obviously we don't want to affect this too much. So you can just drag that out slightly, and we'll just see like you can see like the subtle changes if I just like spin that around. So probably gonna go for like more like once again like more like a dark purple. Probably turn the shadows down slightly, and then that way the light's just coming all from the sign. I think that looks really cool. And then the highlights obviously just going to be the light, so probably just leave that where it is. We don't really need it to be much cooler than it already is, so probably just remove that. So that's back in the center. Highlights probably can just add like a little bit of luminance, 4. I reckon that looks sweet. We're going to mask it. That's what we're going to do now, is we're going to mask it. Okay, so first mask we're going to do is just to get some clarity in the ground. We're going to get a linear gradient mask. We can probably just, like I said, you can just like mess with it. If we turn the temperature down or up, it's just gonna like affect how it looks. Probably just turn it up 10. That way it matches like sort of the ground at the bottom of Josh's feet, where it's just like all white light dominated, right? Tint is just gonna affect it a bit more. You don't really need to adjust the tint. I might just do it slightly so it's like a little bit more vibrant. That's what I also didn't do. If you go back here, these are the 2 sliders I didn't mess with. So vibrancy is obviously just how vibrant all the colors are. So you can just take that out. It's just going to be like a black and white. If you crank that up, it's just all the colors are just going to pop a ridiculous amount. So I don't really want to mess with that too much. Maybe just +5 probably. And then I reckon that's fine. Saturation is vibrance on steroids. So you take that down all the way. It's going to be black and white. Turn that up all the way. If you turn both of them up all the way, it just looks like a clown show. So we won't really mess with the saturation too much. Might turn it down like -2, because it is a very sensitive slider. Yeah, so we'll go back to mask 1. We'll add clarity, and we can turn down the exposure. Oh no, that's the amount. My bad. Turn down the exposure. Add the clarity. That adds like a lot of nice texture in the ground that looks really, really cool. So you can crank that up all the way. I'm probably not going to crank it up all the way. Maybe like 65. Probably add a little bit of exposure back. There we go, I reckon that looks nice. So if we turn that off, this will look like before. That's after. That really evens it out, gives it some nice texture. So we're going to create another new mask. You can select a subject. So if you select a subject like this, it's going to detect Josh and get his whole outline. The white's probably slightly, because if you zoom in like 100%, you can see there is like a slight outline. So that's why you wouldn't want to mess with it, because if you put it up too much, there will be just a definitive outline of the person. Whites might just make that a little bit more vibrant. 12, you can see his jeans, you can see everything, so I think that works fine. So if we turn that off, it's the mask's made adjustment. His shirt, like his jacket, is very white. It fits in a bit more with the photo now, rather than just being just dark and just sort of not there. Now we're going to create another new mask of the subject, but we're going to invert it. So this is going to affect everything around Josh. And what we're going to do here is we're just going to mess with clarity and dehaze. So if you add dehaze like this, it's going to look very very vibrant around him. And if we take out some of that clarity, it messes with the dehaze as well, evens out that light at the bottom, and it gives it a very nice glow. So if you turn that up all the way, turn dehaze down all the way, it's obviously going to be far too vibrant. So I just turn it down back there. Clarity, I wouldn't recommend just maxing out sliders, but in some cases I think it does work very well. The light is very now even at the bottom, but a little too dark. We're just going to -40, so you can just see how that affects the background. Makes it a bit more gives it a dreamy vibe. I do really like how it looks when you get some really dominating lights, and you just make them look pretty dreamy. So then you can just mess around with other stuff like texture. If you turn the texture down, it's going to be far too dreamy. Probably just add the slightest amount of texture, and then maybe add a bit more clarity, slight amount more dehaze, less dehaze. Sorry, I forget that's a negative. We turn that off. I reckon that looks really cool. Alright, so that's what we got, and I reckon we're all done for Josh's photo. So we go the before, and that's the after. So if we go split it, I think it just looks a lot nicer. Gives it a bit more vibrance, but it also just kind of makes the subject a bit more in focus, rather than just it being dominated by the background lights and the sign and everything. So that one's all done. Sorry to cut you off there. There was a slight hiccup. My camera stopped recording about halfway through the second photo, but I got the first photo edited, which you guys got to see, which is probably my favorite one of the couple that I edited so far from the night shoot. So I will put all 3 of the edited photos up anyway, including the one I edited of myself. So I'll put those 4 up. So if you guys want to let me know in the comments, whoever watches this, what you think of the photos, let me know. I'd love to read any feedback on them. Otherwise, if you liked it, you can leave a like, you can subscribe, do whatever you like. I don't really mind. But I hope you guys enjoyed the video anyway. Thank you very much for taking the time to watch it. Just a bit a fun little thing to do. But yeah, thank you very much for watching. Here are the photos. Enjoy.